My, oh my, you just never know what's going to pop up here at the Straight Talk table. And this young lady is probably getting more well known to people because she's in the TV business. She's up there in Charlotte. She's got her own program or programs, pardon me, on WBTV, Channel 3. And her name is Jana Angel. And I've known Jana Angel when she was about maybe 2 feet tall. And here she is, a grown woman, and she's doing all kinds of stuff. Hi, welcome in.
Well, hi, Manning. I didn't know that there were any angels that were under 6 feet tall. I thought we all just kind of walked out that way.
I think you're absolutely, has anybody done an average of all the angel heights? I think that'd be interesting to know. They're well above 6 feet.
Oh, listen,
well
the
above.
math would be mapping for sure.
All right. So we always start off the program, Jenna, by getting our guests to tell us a little bit about themselves. So I know you have a big, long version, right? We just kind of want the semi-Cliff Notes version. So go right ahead.
Well, I think the Cliff Notes version would be, was born and raised in Rock Hill and was very blessed to be both. And then went to the best school on this planet, NC State, to play volleyball, and didn't quite know what I wanted to be when I grew up right after I graduated. So I just continued to swing at a volleyball overseas in France just until I could figure it out. And at that point, I started interviewing my teammates because I realized, you worked in sports for a long time. So many people don't understand what people and athletes are like outside of a jersey. So that was really my first introduction to broadcasting, was me and an iPhone and a tiny tripod. It was the first thing I ever bought off of Amazon. And that was really how I started in media. And somebody said, well, if you can do this in French, like, you could probably do this in English. And so I Googled how to become a TV host and just went on and did it.
You got to be kidding. Really?
That is very accurate.
Oh, that's an interesting story.
The great thing about not knowing anything about something is you don't know that you can't do it. So you can just, you have just ignorance is bliss in that sense.
Very good. So when you came back to the United States of America and you decided to get into this, how did you start? Where did you go?
So I looked at kind of first steps, and some people said broadcasting school was a good way to go. But I had already gone to college. I already had 2 majors, 2 minors. I said, okay, we're not doing that again. And I found the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Charlotte. So I moved back to the Carolinas. And what was funny is that I called, and someone with a wonderfully beautiful voice called me back and said, this is George Washington. And I thought it was a prank call. And so I was like, haha, very funny, like, get lost. And he said, no, this is George Washington. And I just couldn't get over it. He was working at the school and he was offering me a position. So I almost messed that up. But luckily he had a wonderful sense of humor. And I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Charlotte.
And then, it's one thing to go through those schools, but it's another thing to get that door open, that very first door open. And for you, that very first door was where?
Well, the fun thing is it's the one time I didn't finish something. I didn't actually finish that school. I got offered a job pretty early in my career to be a brand ambassador for a furniture company, which sounds very odd. It doesn't sound like media, but I told them I wanted to create content and I wanted to tell stories. And it was a company going through a rebrand that was having trouble articulating what the heck they actually did. They had a very fancy name that sounded like nothing to do with cleaning. And I got to be part of that rebrand and part of that storytelling. And I did interviews with Furniture Today. I went to something called Mattress Con, which you would never, or excuse me, Bedding Con, which is actually a thing. And became kind of a big deal in the furniture industry with that very niche group of communicators. And that's when I saw that every single industry has their own story to tell, has their own kind of media group. And what was just fascinating is just all the stories behind the brands.
Now, this furniture company was here? Was it down in Florida? Where was it?
That was what took me down to Florida. I never thought I wanted to live in Florida. Grammy, I remember, gave me an article about different people being arrested for funny things in Florida. And she was just like, is this really, you want to leave Rock Hill to go to Florida? And they took me on a recruiting trip at Christmas time. And I remember people walking around in flip-flops and seeing Christmas lights and palm trees when everyone else was back home. It was pretty cold. And I said, yep, I'll take the job. And I went.
That's something, isn't it? All right. So that took you, you cut your teeth working for the mattress company. But then you got into an actual TV slot or a channel or whatever it was down there. What was it?
So when I started, I was working for fully paid programming. And that is when people are buying slots on TV and creating their content. So I would go around the country with different people with this production team that worked with Fox Business at the time, called Trending Today, and we would go and tell these B2B stories. So big businesses, big brands, and how they were created and what their origin stories were. And I got to go all over the country doing that.
All right. The next step in this journey was where?
So the next step in that journey was creating a local version for that. So I thought this was doing so well nationally and I had fun doing it. We created a local version for South Florida that was eventually sold and acquired by another company. And then I just decided to kind of strike out on my own. I just started getting a lot of phone calls. You know, my family, my mom, there was an article written about her called Jan of all trades. Well, I am truly her daughter, Jan of all trades. And if I don't know how to do something, I guess got enough ego or silliness to think that I'll figure it out along the way. And so I just started producing different commercials for Land Rover, for Porsche. I shot one with an astronaut. I mean, just really started picking up the phone and somebody would just call me and say, well, Janet could probably know somebody or Janet can figure it out. And I did. So I created my own production company and loved it. But then got an opportunity to work in TV news. I basically switched. Most people go private media first and after they've done TV news, but I decided to reverse it because I'm an angel and we don't ever do things quite the normal way. You know?
So when you started doing commercials for car companies or whatever, did you go to the car company and say, look, I can really create a good commercial for you. Let me do it. And here are the details of how it'll work out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Is that how you did it?
So no, I actually worked with a digital marketing company. It was a friend of mine who has an incredible digital marketing company. And he said, there's so many traditional looking car commercials. And what I was creating was stuff that was very cinematic. Up until then, I'd worked with people who worked in films before, not in traditional TV, not traditional commercial production, but film. And so everything I made was very cinematic and I would hire cinematographers to create things. So it looked very dreamy and that's really where things have gone now. But I'd like to think we were kind of ahead of our time.
Good for you. All right. So then that morphed into a TV job. And that was what?
That was River City Live in Jacksonville, Florida, which is so close to my heart. I had an amazing team there that really introduced me to what TV production was, which was completely different because for private media and, private production, you're talking to a client about a timeline and, things are pre-recorded. You're not live very much. We were doing a live TV show every single day. We were live out in the field. You had a lot of factors going on, but it was amazing because it was all community storytelling. It was like you said for Straight Talk, it's local. This was local TV focused on expanding businesses, telling good stories, and highlighting the people that were making a difference.
So you didn't get involved with cops and robbers?
I was very lucky that I got to do lifestyle. Now,
Good for you.
The fun thing about me is that I would ask to do everything. I didn't know that the lifestyle person wasn't typically the one who was also covering cops and robbers, who was also doing breaking weather. And so people would laugh because news directors would hide from me because they knew if something feisty was happening, I was going to come get nosy and see if I could go be a part of it. Typically, that was very siloed, but we broke down a lot of those walls, I think, just to create better storytelling across news and lifestyle. The F word I don't ever like to hear in TV is fluff. If somebody comes to me and tries to say that a lifestyle piece is fluff, the F word you're going to hear after that is spite. Because that, I think, is just kind of a dilution of storytelling because people always complain they don't want to watch the news because there's not good news. And all I was in charge of was the good and the great news. So I think that was an honor and something very special I got to do. And
I bet you found out in quick order that everybody has a story. I mean, everybody has a story. We could just pull some people from the restaurant, sit them down here, and we would be amazed at what they have to tell us.
Oh, I guarantee you we would. And the thing is, too, so much of this, and I'm sure you've done this calling games, and it's also about who you work with, but even the stories within your building and respecting that. And, I got to work with so many incredible people, especially my co-host Rance, who became my best friend. He'd been in TV for a long time. So he had a very signature style of storytelling where he just had that conversation. So I think he showed me, I didn't have to be like the anchor Jana to fit in and to tell a good story. He would just have that conversation. So I always appreciate that he taught me that because I think that's where people feel comfortable actually sharing their true story with you.
Interesting. So now you worked for this station in Jacksonville for how long?
Yep, WJXT. So almost 3 years.
3 years. And Jacksonville's a beautiful city. I have not spent any time there, but I remember driving through it in that river. I said, my gosh, this would be a great place to live. If I had to live in a big city, this would be a nice one to try.
Yeah, it's beautiful on the river. And then, too, the beaches. I think Jacksonville doesn't always get the credit that it should. It's kind of like the boyfriend you see a lot of potential in and you date it for that potential. But they're growing and they're getting there. And I know that they're going to be, that they're going to be a really incredible city.
All right, so that takes us to current events. And we jumped from Jacksonville to Charlotte. How did this all happen?
So this happened because, I had gotten a great agent who was working with me, who was actually based out of Fort Mill. And he called me and said, hey, have you ever thought about Charlotte? And was trying to kind of describe the town to me. And I said, you might not know this about me, but I grew up in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I'm very familiar with Charlotte. Now, we consider that the big city. That was where you went to buy your Easter dress. And if you're fighting Charlotte traffic, like it's a big occasion, or to go see Billy Graham or something like that. But that was how the opportunity was presented to me. And it was a hard decision because I was so happy where I was. But it was a top 41 market where I was. And I think any journalist, is going to want to see how far they can push their limits, how big they can grow. And Charlotte's a top 21 market now. And it was the WBTV. I have a photograph of me sitting at a fake WBTV set.
Really?
And so I think that was just kind of a full circle moment for me. And it's also been a great way for me to tell the stories of the community that raised me.
Well, we're going to have to take our mid-program break and remind everybody that you are listening to Straight Talk live from Substation 2, Cherry Road across from Winthrop, presented by Founders Federal Credit Union, relax you with Founders, and by Comporium, your friendly neighborhood tech giant. Good Pharmacy is with us, your hometown pharmacy, Ebenezer Road at Camden Avenue in Rock Hill. Now, I know this young lady is smart, she's intelligent, she's beautiful, all the other things, but she knows what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about Substation 2. We do fresh subs and salads. We do it 6 days a week between 10 in the morning and 9 o'clock at night. How we do it is in the white letters, and we want everybody out there to come on and hear and experience what we're about to tell them. So at the count of 3, let's let them hear it. 1, 2, 3. Slice, slice, slice.
Garden, garden, garden.
Back after these words. You're doing great. And back we are here at Substation 2, Cherry Road across from Winthrop. Very pleased to have with us Jana Angel, who has become a TV star. When I knew her, she was just a little kid running around creating all kinds of problems. She's a big kid now, and she's on WBTV. She has not 1 but 2 programs. And you told us the whole lead up as to how you got there. So when the agent convinced you to try for this job, did you have to go meet with a bunch of people and have them analyze you and take a look at you and all that stuff?
I did. I came for an in-person audition, and they were transitioning studios. They were on the cusp of a rebrand, so creating a whole new QC life with a new co-host, a new brand. The incredible Kristen Miranda has been in this industry for years, and she shepherded the show from its infancy all the way here. So I knew it was going into big shoes, and even at my last station, I came after Eden Hithel. So another incredible woman in media who had a huge local following. So I knew that there was a high expectation there. But the fact that it was very welcoming, I also just knew that I just needed to go in there and be myself, because I was happy where I was. So if it worked out, that was what was meant to be. But if not, I would be fine just working in Jacksonville. But I just kind of put it in God's hands and had the audition, and it was a blast.
It was just that simple? You did the audition and boom, you hired?
Pretty much. I mean, there was like a little bit of back and forth because, business is business and you always want to keep growing. And
that's good.
Really, I think at least from my point of view, there might've been a lot going on behind the scenes, but for me, it was really simple. My co-host Jorge made the audition really fun, and he and I basically just did 1 block of a TV show. So it was a very short amount of time that I had to really razzle and dazzle anybody. But they just threw me in there, and I was like, well, hey, no hill for a climber.
So you never had met the co-host before, the host or the co-host, whatever the right title is.
Nope.
That's interesting.
I had not. Yep. I literally got sat down in a chair. He did a show. He had to go to another show. So we had just literally 1 little window of time, and a producer got in my ear and said, okay, go. And that was it. So I guess it was good.
All right. So tell us about the show, because I'm not that familiar with it. You're on when I'm working, so I can't see it. The show is called?
The show is QC Life. So we have 2 shows, Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. And we have a 9 a.m. show and a 3 p.m. show. So everything that we do is lifestyle focused. It's everything in North and South Carolina, highlighting, everything from entertainment to nonprofits. We do a lot of cooking because, we like to eat around here. A lot of cocktails. And of course, my family, any adoptable pet we can get our hands on.
Good. So you are responsible for coming up with the the topics, the people you're going to be talking with, or bringing them into the studios?
So our producers both book guests. My co-host and I also help book guests on the show for QC Life. And then I also have actually a third and a fourth program, because you know me, I'm extra and I can't just do what I was hired to do. We've also expanded to, I have my own show, Coffee and Conversations, which is a long form piece of content that was really inspired by Straight Talk. It broadcasts live on Community Matters Cafe, and we started in August, but really it was seeing Straight Talk be here in the community, like you said, in a local watering hole, so that people would see what was going on behind the scenes. And so Community Matters Cafe is a really special place in Charlotte that gives people life opportunities after they've given up a life of addiction and want to start a life of sobriety.
Wow.
It gives them life skills. They learn to make amazing coffee and work with people, and gives them confidence. So we broadcast live, we broadcast our show from there.
No kidding.
That was inspired by you.
Well, inspired by you. So where exactly, I mean, do you do this weekly at this place?
Yep. Every Wednesday, we have a new episode that drops every Wednesday. And then in addition to that, I now get to create content for Palmetto Life, which goes to all of our great media partners in South Carolina. And it's just given me an opportunity, like I said, to just really shout out my South Carolina family.
All right. So I want you to take me through your day. You wake up at what time in the morning?
So I usually wake up at 5:30, 5:45 if I'm sleepy.
Okay. If I'm sleeping. All right. 5:45. And you go to work roughly what time?
So we have to be at work by 7:30. Then we have our editorial meeting with our 9 a.m. producer at 8.
Right.
After that, we've got our 9 a.m. show, shooting promos after that. And from there, we go either into a meeting, we go into a shoot. If it's Wednesday, I go to Coffee and Conversations, or we might be in the field for something. We come back 1:30, have a meeting for our 3 p.m. show, do our 3 p.m. show. And then after that, I do whatever work didn't get done before that.
Shoot. So you're there at whatever hour, 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and you get out of there when?
When
7 o'clock at night?
It really depends on the day. Some days, if everything's going according to plan, you might get out of there at 4:30. The last 2 days, I've been going, at least from our 9 a.m. show till 9 o'clock at night. So I mean, it just really depends on what's happening in the community.
It's the nature of the beast, broadcasting. I mean, you go when you go.
Well, and me, I can't help but Jana. So if there's something that I feel like needs to be done, I got to do it. I can't let it go.
All right. So your business is really driven by ratings, numbers. That would drive me nuts. I don't know whether it drives you nuts, or you probably just don't, you're just doing your thing. How has the show been? You've been there about a year now, right? What kind of feedback are you getting, whether it be from the boss or from these magic numbers that you all follow?
Well, I think the great thing about my particular boss, Shay, is the fact that she worries about the numbers more so that we don't have to.
Good.
Because I think she's kind of redefining like how we look at what our show does. It's more so focused on, is our content good? Are we creating good content and not just content for TV? That is such a small part of what TV actually does now, because what we have to do is similar to you guys. We have to be able to be wherever our viewers are. So that's on TikTok, that's on Instagram, that's on web, that's on streaming, that's on broadcast television. Appointment television isn't the same as what it used to be. So we need to also make sure it's on demand. People want to watch it when they want to watch it.
That's right.
They might not be able to join us at 9 or 3, but a lot of people I see in the community, they're like, oh, I report it, or I watch it after it's posted.
Right.
So for her, I appreciate that she makes us focus on the content and the story versus looking at numbers.
Appointment TV, I've never heard that before, but that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, my generation knows to sit down at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we'll watch a newscast. Bingo. That is not the way your generation works. No.
No, people want it when they have the time, and we want to make sure that it's available however they consume media. So whether they're watching, whether they're scrolling, whether they're listening, that's why Coffee and Conversations is our first complete multimedia, multi-platform program. So we have a podcast, we have the broadcast, we have our highlights on QC Life, we have articles written, and we have it on YouTube. So anywhere that people are, if they have a screen, we have that available to them.
So what is next with all this? I mean, have you got some show ideas that you want WBTV to pay attention to, and where you can extend what you're really passionate about doing?
What I think I'm really lucky for is the fact that they have immediately paid attention to Coffee and Conversations. That was something that we wanted to create because you can tell I'm a yapper, and I just, the 5 minutes on TV for each person just wasn't cutting it. And I wanted to dive deeper. I read how many people were going to ChatGPT or the internet looking for solace, looking for advice. And I was like, we have people here with lived experiences that can actually help people understand what they're going through, process it, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, how to start a business, just different things. And I wanted them to learn from people. I love technology, but I also don't want us to forget about the value of people in that learning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if it's one thing that should scare everybody, particularly those who have young children, is how dominant this little thing has become in their life. I mean, the fact that I had some interesting statistics about reading a book. I mean, younger people aren't reading books at all. It's awful. And yet they think they can get all the information that they need out of here, which is not the case. They need to have that human interaction. If you talk to some of the business owners, ask them what it's like to put a young person in front of a cashier, the cash register. They are very uncomfortable with talking with the customer on the other side because they're not seeing them on a screen. It's that one-on-one eye contact. Oh, geez. So if you had in the business that you're in, everybody can see who you are, what you're doing. Do you get knocks on the door from other companies who say, hey, we like what you're doing. Why don't you think about coming on over here? Or maybe we can move you over here. I mean, that's the nature of what you all do.
Yeah, I mean, and I take every phone call. My boss would actually encourage me to take every phone call, because it's one of those things that it's always important to, I think, know your value in the marketplace, but also know what other people are noticing. What do they like about the program? Because I think that shows your proof of concept. What are you doing that's doing right? What are you doing that's getting attention? And, you know me, I'll always take a compliment.
Well, I should tell you that we're doing this show right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Your show is down here today. You've been doing a feature piece on somebody about something, which will be on your program at some time. And I think that's neat that you've got Charlotte paying more attention to Rock Hill in York County because, we don't have a broadcast television station down here. We do have a cable TV station, but we're not set up like a broadcast television station. And there's a lot of great stories down here to be had. And I might encourage you to listen to Straight Talk. You might find a few.
Well, I mean, like I said, you inspired so much of that. And this, for me, has been such a beautiful opportunity to, like I said, recognize the people who have raised me. I mean, I grew up at Substation 2 right here in this sub shop. Charlie used to give me all the pickles in the world. The best pickles are right here at Substation 2. And just driving past Winthrop Coliseum, remembering running there for cross country at 5 a.m. and going past Northwestern High School, knowing that I played there and representing the Trojans, going past the stadium, remembering homecoming court, but also all the people. Like, that is one thing and one part of Rock Hill that has never left me, is that no one can beat our people. The phone calls that my dad's made to you, to his friends, just if somebody needed help and people showing up, and it didn't really matter why or when, but we just showed up for each other. And that's what I now have the opportunity to highlight, is the people that raised me and made me the person that I am. So you're going to be hearing a lot more about how Rock Hill rocks for me.
Good for you. Well, I think your mama and daddy would be very proud of you. You've done a good job. Our 30 minutes is up. And I really, really thank you for coming in and spending 30 minutes with us here. It's been great. Her name is Jana Angel. Her program is on WBTV at what time again?
9 a.m., 3 p.m. and Coffee and Conversations Wednesday at 11.
Good for you. Well, you've done a very good job. Thank you for being with us. And that's going to wrap up our Straight Talk program. Live from Substation 2, Cherry Road across from Winthrop. Presented by Founders Federal Credit Union, relax you with Founders. And by Comporium, your friendly neighborhood tech giant. One more time, we're going to tell everybody out there what we do in here. It's called Fresh Subs and Salads. We do it 6 days a week. That lady is all teed up. She knows what we're going to do. At the count of 3, let's bellow it out together. 1, 2, 3. Slice, slice, slice.
Garden.
Have yourself a wonderful day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Bye. You did great. Good job, young lady.